Welcome, everybody, to the Mouthpiece Football Podcast. Week 2 edition. Week 1 is now in the books. I love Week 1. I love the NFL. The NFL's the best. The overreactions, the range of emotions. 1 minute you think your fantasy team's the best. The next minute you got the worst team in the league. The 1 minute you're going to win the survivor pool. The next minute you're out of the survivor pool. You're winning a bet. You're losing a bet. You're back up. You're down. It's just amazing. Just the range of emotions is ridiculous. There's nothing like it. Football is king. The NFL's the best. And it's so unpredictable. It's a week-to-week league. You better bet your ass that it's a year-to-year league. So everything that we thought coming into week 1, we don't know what we're talking about. Just look at the Bucs and the Saints. Do we have any idea? And now we make the opposite overreactions. Oh, the Bucs, they'll be in the playoffs. Or the Chiefs, yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl. So I just love the NFL. I love week 1. I love that it's back. And speaking of overreactions, today we're going to take some inventory of what I call warranted overreactions. We'll get into that with Matty Hudson. Shane Dunphy will join the show. He'll give us some fantasy studs and duds. But let's start with the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. And yes, I have to admit, I picked the Atlanta Falcons on this podcast last week. I did.
Shame.
I did.
Shame.
I picked the Atlanta Falcons.
Shame.
Unbelievable.
Shame.
And if you follow the Instagram.
Shame.
Yeah, shame. If you follow the Instagram, I was changing my pick as the week went on. I was feeling the Eagles by the time kickoff rolled around. Too many people were on the Falcons. And the Eagles are just a better team. It kind of hit me, and I was like, you know what? The Eagles aren't going to lose this game. I was down at the NFL experience, and I just could feel it. I could feel it in the air. The Eagles were going to win that game, but for the sake of the podcast, I stayed with the Falcons, but I was feeling the Eagles. But shame nonetheless. Let's talk about the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. I think they look good for the most part. Yeah, the offense was stagnant, of course. I'm not worried about Foles. Whatever. You know, Nick Foles, you're either going to get the great Nick Foles or you're going to get what you got Thursday night. There's no in between. We'll get to Foles a little later. The D-line and O-line are absolutely outstanding. Jason Peters, what a difference that guy makes. My girlfriend said to me, she's like, why is he so good? I was like, he's unbelievable. I know. And I was like, well, you don't usually see offensive linemen because if they're doing their job, you don't see them. But in this case, Peters was making his return, so they were highlighting him more than usual. But I was like, no, he's just that good. The D-line is unbelievable. Chris Long, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Michael Bennett, the whole bunch. Fletcher Cox played 93% of the snaps. He barely came off the field. Chris Long is one of the most underrated free agent signings in the history of Philadelphia. Brandon Graham, I guess that ankle's fine because he is an absolute animal. Just the D-line is just so good, and it's going to be tough for teams to compete with that defensive line. I mean, Michael Bennett played well, I thought. Derek Barnett, probably the one negative of the night, but he'll get better as the season goes on. I'm not worried about him. Welcome back, Jordan Hicks. 1.5 sacks. He was all over the field. I thought Ronald Darby played really well, despite Julio having his, but he didn't get in the end zone. Darby played good enough. I thought Sidney Jones played really well. I thought Malcolm Jenkins played well. I thought Rodney McLeod really stood out. The whole defense really stood out, and they made do without Nigel Bradham. They're only going to be better defensively against Tampa. And then you got Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz completely outcoached the Atlanta Falcons. Yet again, Doug Peterson ran the freaking Philly special, for God's sake. Jim Schwartz is dialing up blitzes. Matt Ryan had no idea what was going on. Steve Sarkisian and Dan Quinn, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz chewed you up, spit you out, and got another win over the Falcons. Peterson now 3-0 against Dan Quinn. Now, the wide receivers, a little worrisome, but I think Aguilar's going to have a breakout season. Once we get Jeffrey back, they'll be fine. Zach Ertz needs to step up. He can't drop 3 passes in a game. Dallas Goedert, welcome to the NFL. You got that one out of the way. Now it's time for you to step up. I thought the use of the running backs was a little strange in the first half, but Ajayi took the lion's share of the carries in the second half. 2 touchdowns, all was right with the world. I think we'll see more Ajayi as the season goes on. I mean, I don't have really many complaints. The offense, a little stagnant, but not worried about it. Hopefully this will be the last week of Nick Foles. So, I mean, no complaints here for the Eagles. That's a good Atlanta team. They held their offense at bay. The defense is scary. The offensive line's dominant. When you have a good O-line, you have a good D-line, this is what you get, a good football team. And this Eagles team is a great football team that will only get better as the season goes on. Repeat season, baby. Repeat season. We'll get into Tampa Bay a little bit later, but let's do a week one wrap-up. Overreaction City week one. I love it. Here are the three best things I saw this week, and I'll count them 3-1. The Rams. I told you, they would be the Eagles' biggest competition. They looked great. Todd Gurley, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp. Their defense is nasty. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, Aaron Donald. This team's scary, and they are the Eagles' biggest competition, in my opinion. Sam Darnold, the poor kid, his first pass, picked off, take it to the house, but he comes right back, machine-like approach, and the Jets roll the Lions. I thought Sam Darnold was fantastic, and it was awesome to see, and it was great to see all the triggered Giants fans on social media. And number one, Aaron Rodgers. Unbelievable. I was like, you know what? The Bears are good this year, man. Matt Nagy, he's just like Peterson. Look at him. He's creative. They're going to dethrone the Packers. I was tweeting out Trubisky's a stud, and then Rodgers got hurt, and I'm like, okay. This game's over. The Bears 1-0. They'll be in the playoffs. Khalil Mack, my God, what a great trade. Then the second half came, and Aaron Rodgers marched his ass back on the field and was throwing darts all over that defense. And the Packers are 1-0. And that game was just unbelievable. The only problem I had with that game was Al Michaels and Collinsworth called that game better than they did Super Bowl 52. And that was a week one Sunday night game. But that was my only issue with it. Those were the three best. Here are the three worst. We'll count them down 3-1. The Lions. Matt Patricia, maybe you should take the pencil out of your ear, bub, because your defense got hammered on national TV. The Cowboys' offense is atrocious. We'll get into Zeke. I'm a little worried for fantasy purposes because they just don't have anything. They don't have tight ends. They don't have wide receivers, and their quarterback stinks. I don't know how many points they're going to be scoring this year. And the Buffalo Bills, they made the change, though. Josh Allen will be starting, but Nathan Peterman is probably the worst quarterback I've ever seen. That was the worst thing I've seen all week. My fantasy stud, no-brainer here, Alvin Kamara. This guy is a serious problem. Shame. I took Saquon Barkley over Alvin Kamara. That's another shame right here. Shame. My God, this Alvin Kamara is a stud, and I can't see him slowing down anytime soon. The fantasy dud, Kareem Hunt. Big Red's got a new toy, and Patrick Mahomes, and he used him. And I don't know if he's going to use his old toy, Kareem Hunt. He doesn't like running the ball, folks. Fantasy dud, Kareem Hunt. But let's get into some more overreactions. Let's bring on a man that is known for his notorious overreactions. He is the power rankings guru, Matty Hudson.
What's going on?
There he is. How was your week one, Matty?
Week one was excellent. Most important thing was the Eagles' victory. They won. That's all I care about.
I hear
one
you.
was excellent.
Yep, huge win for the Eagles, and they beat your number 2 ranked team, the Atlanta Falcons. So I want to recap your top 5, and then I'll give out my top 5. So go ahead. Give the folks a recap if they didn't read the power rankings.
Bringing in at 1 is the Eagles. That defense is unstoppable. You're talking about overreactions. I think the Eagles are going undefeated, 19-0. Bringing in at 2, we got the Patriots.
19-0.
Brady, 19-0. They're going to win 16 games. They get the first round bye, and they're winning the Super Bowl again.
Oh, there he is.
I was wrong.
Overreaction, Matty Hudson.
I'm dead serious. This team, when Wentz comes back, dude, they're going to crush everybody. To hold the Falcons at 12 points, 19-0.
All right, move
2,
on.
we got Brady. They're up from 3. He keeps doing it. We talked about it. He gets better with age. It's insane. And all those rumors about Gronk retiring, good one.
I know.
The Rams,
he really looked retired on Sunday.
I can't believe it, dude. Gronk's uncoverable again, and the Patriots are unstoppable. The Rams are bringing in number 3. I honestly thought the Raiders were going to surprise us in the beginning of that game. It was loud in Oakland, but the Rams are legit. You called it, and I agree. They're definitely
good.
the Eagles' biggest competition. Coming in at 4, we got the Packers. This might be an overreaction, but I don't care. Aaron Rodgers, put on the discount double check, put the belt on. He is legit.
He is unbelievable. I said in the opening, that was one of the best things I've seen this week. He is unbelievable.
It was amazing. If he stays healthy, they're going to go far. And 5th, I got the Jaguars.
Your boys.
The Fournette injury hurts. I haven't actually seen much on that Fournette injury, so I don't know when he's back or how long he's out. But I'll tell you what, that defense is still the real deal. Got to keep in mind they were playing the Giants, but they're a solid team again. Blake Bortles, baby.
I can't disagree there. Mine are almost identical to yours. I got Eagles 1, Pats 2, Rams 3. I'm going with the Packers at 4 as well. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, this team is right there with the Rams as far as the scariest in the NFC, as far as the Eagles go. And I got Skull, the Vikings, at 5.
Ugh.
Well, I kind of strategically did that because the Packers and Vikings play this week. So we'll figure out who is the better team out of those two. It's in Lambeau. We'll get to that in a second. So that's the top 5 for this week. All right, you ready to do some warranted overreactions? Now, what a warranted overreaction is I think this overreaction is valid. But we're going to see if we agree with it or disagree with it, all right?
Okay.
All right, so the first one. We'll both enjoy this one. Matt Patricia will be fired within 3 years.
You know what? I'm with you. Looking at Belichick's history of coaches who are under him, Josh McDaniels in Denver was a disaster.
Yes.
And I'm with you. I think he absolutely will be fired.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
Lions are in trouble.
They're already having issues in the locker room with Patricia. This is going to end bad. Charlie Weiss, Romeo Crennel, Josh McDaniels, the list goes on. These Belichick guys just must come into these locker rooms and start implementing all these rules because the Lions veterans are already having issues with Patricia's rules. I don't know if he'll last 3 years. I'll take the under on 3 years. That's not an overreaction, in my opinion. All right, here's another one right up your alley. Jimmy G. He was way overpaid and he'll fail.
Dude, I've never been on Jimmy G. I think his record is skewed. I don't think that he's that good, and he's absolutely overpaid. I got the Niners on the under of their total wins. I can't remember what it was, but last week I took the under, and I'm sticking by that. He's mediocre at best.
See, I'm going to say he's overpaid because how the hell does he get this kind of money with his body of work? That's a little ridiculous and kind of an insult to the rest of the league. Like a guy like Le'Veon Bell has been the best running back in the league forever, and this guy is getting max money for doing nothing, essentially. I think he's way overpaid, but I don't know if he'll fail yet. I don't think they have much on that 49er team. They lost McKinnon, but, I mean, what was he anyway? Marcus Goodwin, Pierre Garçon, Alfred Morris, George Kittle. That's just an ugly offense, and I don't really think they're going to go anywhere either. So I don't know if it's Jimmy G's fault or just the weapons around him. The Vikings just ate them up. I don't know if he'll fail long term, but definitely overpaid. Chiefs will win the AFC, not the AFC West. The AFC.
Win the AFC, Mahomes to Hill. We better get used to it, baby. I think Mahomes might throw 40 touchdowns this year, and half of them are going to be to Hill, dude.
Well,
that's scary.
Every year, after the first week of the season, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Don't you remember last year they went into Foxborough and they absolutely buried the Patriots?
Yeah, and then they beat us as well.
Yeah, and then they lost to Tennessee at home in the playoffs. No chance they win the AFC. Big Red ain't winning nothing. Get them out of here. I'm done with the Chiefs. That's a total bullcrap overreaction.
With Big Red, there's a good chance they're calling a timeout sometime in the playoffs when they shouldn't be, and he'll find a way to screw that up.
Big Red's going to throw the ball like 60 times a game with this guy. Kareem Hunt's going to they got nothing. I'm telling you, it's a total overreaction. Everybody's on the Chiefs. They'll fall just like they did last year, just like they did the year before. After week 1, they're always the Super Bowl champion. Get them out of my sight. All right. Darnold will run away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
No. Absolutely not. I think Saquon's going to be right there. He just rushed for 100 yards plus and a touchdown against the Jaguars, who have an outstanding defense. Absolutely not. I don't think the Lions are all that well.
Yeah, so, I think that's a total overreaction too. Rookie quarterbacks don't usually win the Offensive Rookie of the Year, although Deshaun Watson would have done it last year. But I don't think Darnold's going to put up those numbers.
He was definitely impressive on Monday night. I mean, you got to give him credit.
Oh, no, he was awesome. I said it. Yeah, I just don't think he'll run away with it. Maybe it'll come down to him and Barkley. But yeah. I don't think he'll run away with it. All right, and last one kind of hits the home because the Eagles will play Tampa Bay this week. The Bucs are a better team with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback than Jameis Winston. Overreaction or not?
Boy. You know, when you beat the Saints and put up 48 points, I don't think that's an overreaction. No, I actually am agreeing with that.
So I think behind
if they play well against the Eagles too, Winston might find himself on the bench for the rest of the season.
I have a behind enemy lines coming out. I don't know when it's coming out yet. It's either going to be later today or Friday. But I asked the Tampa Bay writer this exact question, and I'm waiting to see his answer. I say that's a total overreaction. I can't go with Fitzpatrick over Jameis Winston. I just can't do it. Maybe they are better, but I don't know. We'll find out this week, I guess. So, I don't know. So that's my overreactions. I think they're all warranted, but some are more overreactions than others. All right, Matt, I want to go through some games with you, all right? Great slate of games this week. We're going to go over the top 3. Vikings at the Packers. Your boy, Kirk Cousins, versus your real boy, Aaron Rodgers. Take your pick. Packers are a 1-point favorite.
Kirk Cousins is not going into Lambeau and beating Aaron Rodgers. As long as Rodgers is playing, which he said he was in the post-game interview, Packers. Big, too. I'm talking Packers by 10 or more.
If Rodgers is out, obviously, this game's not even one we're talking about here. I'm going to take the Vikings. I know I have the Packers ranked ahead of the Vikings in my top 5, but Packers were struggling in the first half with a healthy Rodgers. Maybe the Vikings just blitz the hell out of them and walk away with a W. I'm going to pick the Vikings. That could change by Sunday. All right.
Yeah, when they blitz the hell out of them, Rodgers picks
well, that's
them
true
apart.
too, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This isn't Case Keenum that they have. Kirk Cousins, I don't love him, but he's capable. The Patriots at the Jags. The Patriots are a small 1.5-point favorite, which is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Tom Brady, 8-0 versus the Jaguars, including the playoffs.
Wow. Look at you.
Mark it down as 9-0.
I'm with
he
you.
Ain't losing.
I'm with you, Patriots.
Brady versus Bortles, give me Brady.
I'll tell you what, though. That line is speaking Jaguars to me. But I'll take the Patriots. I'll go against Vegas. All right. Kansas City, the AFC champion or Super Bowl champion, depending on what show you're listening to or show you're watching, at Pittsburgh. The Steelers are -4.
Dude, the line screams Steelers, but
Scream Steelers.
It screams Steelers, but I cannot, regardless of what that line is, I don't care if it was -10, the way Big Ben played against Cleveland, who is not a good team.
At
I don't
Cleveland.
care what anybody says about that. It doesn't matter. That was atrocious. And, yeah, James Conner filled in well for Bell, but the Steelers look terrible, absolutely terrible. I'm taking the Chiefs.
They were up in that game 21-7. I'm taking the Steelers. I'm not going to go against Vegas twice. I think the Steelers put the Chiefs back in their place. The Steelers are a lot better team at home. Kansas City's a lot worse on the road. I'm going to go with the Steelers in this game. They got to get a W, and then the Chief stuff can go away for a little while. Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Just go away from me.
We'll see how
Patrick
it pans
Mahomes,
out.
all of a sudden he's Brett Favre. We'll see. I mean, he looked good. Don't get me wrong, but Jesus. Come on for a second. Yes, and tonight we have some football. Football is back. Week 2 kicks off tonight in Cincinnati. A real barn burner here. The 1-0 Baltimore Ravens, led by Joe Flacco, come into Cincinnati and play Andy Dalton, A.J. Green, Joe Mixon, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Hudson, we're going to go head-to-head on Thursday night. Me versus you, all season long, okay? And we're going to declare, I'm going to steal this from Tony Bruno and John Marks, we're going to declare a Mr. Thursday night between me and you.
Let's do it.
Okay? So it starts tonight. We can make the same pick. If we make the same pick, whatever. But it's against the spread, too. So it's the Ravens, a 1-point favorite in Cincy. Who do you got, Ravens or Bengals?
I'll tell you what, I will never, ever, ever take Andy Dalton.
Wow.
Ever. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care what the spread is. Give me the Ravens to win big.
Wow. All right, you know what? Just for the sake of Mr. Thursday Night, I'm going to go with the Bengals. The home dog. Andy Dalton, A.J. Green, John Ross maybe deep. Joe Mixon went for a ton of yards last week against a horrible Colts team. I'm going to go with the Bengals, the home dog tonight, to get it done by a slim margin. I'll say 20-17, game-winning field goal. Boom.
Hate it.
Thursday night football is back. And I can't wait till it gets on to Fox because they actually have some good games scheduled this year, unlike last year. So, all right, Maddie. We'll be looking for the power rankings next week. And your Eagles prediction coming Sunday, too. You are 1-0. Any last words?
Remember that 19-0 prediction because you all forgot who picked the Super Bowl winner week 3.
All right.
Don't forget what I told you. 19-0.
All right. That's Matty Hudson, the power rankings extraordinaire. He's got it all figured out. He's got the Eagles 19-0, huh? How about that? 19-0. First team to ever do it, according to Matt Hudson. Oh, my God. I don't think so. We'll see, though. So let's take a look. Before we get into Dumpy, let's take a look at some more of these games. We got Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta's a 6-point favorite. You got to think Atlanta can win that game. Although they are banged up. Carolina's tough. Carolina's banged up, too. No Greg Olsen. McCaffrey's got to do something, though. Man, I have Christian McCaffrey on my fantasy team. Cam Newton ran a touchdown in, and the fullback I never heard of ran one in. And then you got the Chargers going to Buffalo. The Bills Mafia will be out in full force for Josh Allen's first start. Chargers should roll, but we'll see. And then we discussed Minnesota and Green Bay. You got the Cleveland Browns heading to New Orleans. Oh, man. New Orleans has to bounce back. I'm in a survivor pool. New Orleans knocked out 2,300 people, and the Lions knocked out another 800. If I had to make a survivor pool pick, it would be New Orleans this week, though. I would say the Rams, but I've made a new rule for survivor pools. You can't take a division game. I also don't recommend road games. That's rule number 1. You don't take a road team. Rule number 2 now, I'm adding no division games. Just strike the division game from your record. Anything could happen in a division game. Anything. As you saw with New Orleans and Tampa. So New Orleans, 9-point favorite against the Browns. Lock that in as a survivor pool pick. Miami against the Jets. The Jets are a 3-point favorite. We'll see. Jets fans are going to be fired up for Darnold. Jets could win that one. Then you got Houston and Tennessee. Who knows who's going to be playing quarterback for Tennessee. Mariota should play, kind of like Houston in that one. Indy at Washington. Washington -6. Washington looked pretty good. AP found the fountain of youth. Washington should win that. And then we said Arizona and the Rams. The Rams should take care of business, but I don't take division games any longer for Survivor, so I'm not recommending that one. Detroit, man, what happened to that team? They go to San Fran. Jimmy G, can he get back? He's a 6-point favorite. Can he get back on track? I think so. I think San Fran can win that game. Oakland at Denver. Gruden, can he start 0-2? Can the Broncos start 2-0 with Case Keenum? I think they can. New England and Jacksonville we talked about. And then the nightcap, Giants at Dallas. Dallas is a 3-point favorite. Give me the Giants all day. And then Monday night, the wheels look like they're coming off in Seattle. The Bears are a 3.5-point favorite. Can the Bears come back from that disaster this past Sunday night? We have to watch the Bears in primetime again. Yeesh. So that's your week 2 schedule. And we're going to talk about the Eagles in a minute. But let's transition into some fantasy football.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Yes. On the line with this is our fantasy guru, Shane Dunphy. What's up, Shane? How was your week 1?
Week 1 was good, man. Happy to be back on the show, man. Just another day in paradise in San Diego, but ready to get into it. I mean, last week's articles, you followed along. Everyone had a really good week. I told you Alvin Kamara was the top play of the week, and he certainly was.
Yeah, I named Kamara as my fantasy stud of the week. Obviously, pretty obvious there.
Yeah, the only guy that didn't pan out was third leg Greg, but he got hurt, injury. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it is what it is. So how'd your teams do? All pretty good?
All teams did pretty good. I went 1-1.
I went up against, unfortunately, Tyreek Hill and Rob Gronkowski. So that was kind of an uphill battle. Despite putting up 140 points, I still lost.
Yeah,
so.
if you went up against Tyreek Hill and Alvin Kamara, you pretty much lost, no matter who you had. For the most part.
Forget it. You could draft the perfect team and still lose to those two. I think they put up collectively like probably 80 points combined, which is insane.
Yeah, absurd. So I named Kamara as my stud, but I named Kareem Hunt as my dud. Now, what's going on with Big Red? This is typical Andy Reid. He's not using the running back. He's got his new toy, Patrick Mahomes. Is this something for Kareem Hunt owners to be worried about?
I don't know, man. I mean, let's look at the things that we do know. One, Andy Reid's fat, and two, Andy Reid likes to pass the ball.
Loves the pass.
Those are the things that aren't going to change. Sure, it's frustrating. First and goal, he throws it 3 times. I mean, super annoying for Kareem Hunt owners. I mean, he got 16 carries for 49 yards. I mean, it's not a great stat line, but he also didn't catch the ball once, which is a little concerning considering the type of year you had last year with Hunt. So I think you just got to sit on it. It's week 1. You know what I mean? You can't hit the panic button just yet. Don't be too worried with Kareem. And again, like I said, week 1. Don't go crazy, but if you have a friend that likes to hit the panic button, you could probably take advantage and get a steal on Hunt right now.
Yeah, that's some good advice. He's definitely buy low. Maybe somebody's panicking. I know I'm panicking because I have Zeke Elliott, and it looks like that the Cowboys aren't going to be able to move the ball 5 yards. So should I be worried about Zeke Elliott, or will the Cowboys figure it out a little bit, at least from a Zeke standpoint?
Yeah, I told you my bust for the season was the Cowboys as a whole. I think they're in trouble, man. Zeke, great player. He obviously found the end zone last week, had 15 carries for almost 70 yards, 3 receptions for, I don't know, it was like 15 or something yards. But one thing we know that's definitely coming undone is Dak Prescott and the fact that the Cowboys have 0 receivers. So if I'm any other defense, I'm stacking the box. There's no way you're going to beat me, and if you are, you're going to beat me downfield. So I'm a little nervous if I have Zeke. I'm going to be completely honest with you, and that's why I didn't draft him.
Yeah, I am nervous.
I was in the position to get him, and I just, 1, he's a Cowboy, and 2, I don't
what
think
number?
that.
I picked him 5th. What position were you in?
Yeah, I had 4, so I decided not to take a reach on him, and he went 5th in a lot of the leagues that I'm in. So I don't know, man. I just, for some reason, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be good at all this year.
And the only thing with Zeke,
they got the line problems too.
The only thing with Zeke, though, he had 17 points, and I thought he had a shitty week. So hopefully, somehow, the Cowboys can move the ball. Not hopefully the Cowboys can move the ball, but for fantasy purposes, I hope Zeke can do something.
The good thing is the volume isn't going anywhere.
No, that's for sure.
So I mean, they're gonna feed him. So there's opportunity for him to break off a run, which he's plenty capable of. I mean, we've seen it, but you got to be a little bit scared after seeing Dak Prescott and how incompetent and much of a dumbass he looked behind the line.
All right, another guy fantasy owners were hyped about. There was a lot of buzz. Deshaun Watson. He didn't look so great against New England. Should owners be worried about Deshaun Watson moving forward?
Absolutely not. So here's the deal, dude. He just came off of an injury. Give the guy a break for 2 seconds. Also, the fact that, I mean, look, the arcade numbers he put up last year were insane. For you to expect him to do that week 1 as he comes back is pretty ridiculous. Let the guy ease in, get his groove a little bit. I think there's no doubt in my mind. Not to mention, he's going up against 2 geniuses with Belichick and Brady, who were kind of playing into his hand a little bit. I mean, the defense schemed all game. I watched the game because I bet on it like a degenerate, and they wound up not covering, which pissed me off. But at the same time, I mean, dude, he's a stud. He ran for 8 times and had 40 yards. Not too bad through the air, but they got to get Deshaun going. So I think Bill O'Brien is going to let him loose this week against Tennessee, who is not good by any means, because they They made Ryan Tannehill look like a future Hall of Famer, and Kenny Stills look like an absolute monster.
Kenny Stills looks like Jerry Rice.
I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to go absolutely nuts this week, he's going to be one of my studs this week, and we'll get into it.
You know what? I wouldn't worry about Watson either yet. I don't know if he'll be that guy he was last year. I mean, that's asking a lot anyway, but I think he got better as that game went on. I put him in the Wentz report. He did look better in the second half. We'll see how it goes. I don't expect, QB1 numbers, but QB 5 or 6 isn't out of the question for me. All right, tonight, Bengals, Ravens. Give me a player to watch.
AJ Green. I mean, you got a couple guys on each team that you hear the name and it's like, oh yeah, okay. AJ Green's the guy out of both games. I hate the Ravens. I hate the Bengals. I hate both their head coaches. This game stinks to me, and it's probably going to be one of those stupid color rushes, purple and white, whatever it is. I think AJ Green's the only guy you got to watch tonight, to be honest with you. And the line's -1 Ravens, unders 44. I think this game's going to be an absolute snooze fest.
I think you're right. They're both are 1-0 though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, who's the tallest midget, right? It doesn't even matter. So I think AJ Green's the only guy to watch for and really care about. I mean, I'm sure people have some other players, but AJ Green's my guy that's going to take control of this game.
Can't argue with that. He was my stud last week, got in the end zone. All right, speaking of studs, give me one stud for this week and one guy that everybody should just stay away from.
I said it earlier, I'm going to go DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, they got to get him going and signed him to score touchdowns. He signed because he wanted to score touchdowns. He had a decent week. He had 8 for 78. But, I mean, you drafted him as a fantasy owner for touchdowns. All you're doing is points. And, like I said, Kenny Stills looked amazing last week. And Kenny Stills can't even sniff DeAndre's jockstrap. They're not even in the same conversation. So I expect him and Deshaun Watson both to have pretty big weeks and kind of connect multiple times during the game. As far as my stay away, Devontae Freeman. Who knows what happened to his knee in the Birds game? So I'm kind of just like, ugh, I don't even want to touch him. Like, even if he does get a full workload, who knows how healthy he is, which gives a little bit of a bump to Tevin Coleman. So we'll see what happens. I'm just not interested in Devontae by any means.
I hate to wish injury on anybody, but as a proud Tevin Coleman owner, I wouldn't mind Devontae Freeman maybe sitting the rest of this year out. I got to be honest with you there, because I think Coleman goes to be like right there a top 7 running back in the league.
Yeah, and I mean he showed a little flash last week against the Birds, and I mean the guy can catch the ball too. Everyone thinks Freeman's like just the only guy that can do it. Coleman's a good back, man.
Yeah, he got the end zone last Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, don't wish injury on anyone, but for fantasy purposes, let's go Coleman.
Yeah, money on the line. I can't really help Devontae Freeman. Unless he wants to send some money over to me, I got to kind of root for Tevin Coleman. So, all right, Shane, we'll be looking for your article on Friday. Starts, studs, sleepers, everything, you name it. The guru, he's got you covered. Shane Dunphy, we'll talk to you.
All right, Big Daddy. Talk to you soon, man.
And that's our boy, Shane Dunphy. Keep a lookout for his article tomorrow. Dunphy really knows his shit when it comes to fantasy football. Make sure you read the article if you want to win a little money. We'll also have our studs and sleepers Sunday morning every week on our Twitter and Instagram. We're usually right. Sometimes we're wrong, but I say we're usually right. But let's transition back to the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. They are in Tampa Bay on Sunday. They are a 3-point favorite. The game will be on Fox, 1 o'clock. It'll be Kenny Albert, Rondé Barber, and Tiki Barber. Oh, my goodness. Get some earplugs for Sunday. Nothing worse than Rondé Barber calling an Eagles game. The last time these two teams faced was in Philadelphia. Tampa Bay rolled the Eagles. I was at this game. It was a nightmare. The Bucs won 45-17. So there are some remaining Eagles on the roster. Fletcher Cox, Malcolm Jenkins, to name a few. They will remember that beatdown. That was the Chip Kelly, Mark Sanchez-led Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles are a 3-point favorite. They're going up against Fitzpatrick. As we know, Foles is the starter. And you know what? Tampa Bay, they come into this game riding high. Everyone's telling them how great they are. They just went into New Orleans, won 48-40. Ryan Fitzpatrick's the savior. Who needs Jameis Winston? Mike Evans is back. Chris Godwin's a stud. They got the running game going. Dirk Cotter isn't calling the plays anymore. The offensive coordinator's got it all figured out. Uh-oh. I don't know. 1-1. Will Fitzpatrick have some Fitzmagic left in the tank after a 21, a 28, 417 yards, 4 touchdown performance? His quarterback rating was 156.2. Can he do it again? All right, I got a great example for you of why Fitzpatrick has no shot to do that again. It's 2015. Jets, New England, in New York. Fitzpatrick, he outdueled Tom Brady, going 26 of 41 for 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had a quarterback rating of 109.9. The New York Jets upset the New England Patriots. All is right with the world. The Jets moved to 10-5. The next week, all the Jets have to do is beat the 7-8 Buffalo Bills. But what did Fitzy Boy do? He went 16 of 37 for 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and had a quarterback rating of 42.7. Fitzy Boy. I think something similar is coming Sunday afternoon in Tampa Bay. This guy just won't have the Fitzmagic he had in New Orleans. He wasn't sacked. Come on. He wasn't sacked in the game. He was just sitting back there throwing darts to Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and Chris Godwin. I don't think it happens again. Fletcher Cox will be in his face. Chris Long will be in his face. Michael Bennett will be in his face. Brandon Graham. I expect Derek Barnett to play a little bit better. Jordan Hicks. Bradham's back. The Eagles will be all over Fitzpatrick. I expect multiple interceptions for Fitzy Boy. No Fitzmagic left in the tank. As far as the Eagles, I expect Nick Foles to have a pretty good game. Nick Foles has owned Tampa Bay. The last time the Eagles were in Tampa Bay, Nick Foles was also the starting quarterback. Foles goes 22 of 31 for 296 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had a quarterback rating of 133.3, and he also had a rushing touchdown. The Eagles won that game 31-20. 2012, Foles also started in Tampa. He had a rushing touchdown in that game as well. He was 32 of 51, 381 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. I don't know if we're going to get those numbers, but I do expect Foles to have a far better game than he did last Thursday night. I think we get good Nick Foles. Hopefully this will be the last start that Foles has to make, so Foles just lets it all hang out and goes wild on Tampa Bay. I think Aguilar will get into the end zone. We'll see about Mike Wallace. One thing I love about Doug is he'll try to get Wallace involved. I remember last year Torrey Smith dropped a big touchdown, and then the next week against Arizona, they go right back to him up top. I could see Mike Wallace getting involved. I think Zach Ertz will have a big game. Tampa Bay's defense stinks. I know Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he had his way with Tampa Bay. I love the Eagles in this game. I think -3 is a lock. I don't think Fitzpatrick has much. I really don't left. That was his game. That was his Super Bowl. Now the Bucs are, this great team all of a sudden. I just, we'll see. I'm not buying it. I'll make my official prediction in the article on Sunday, but I do think the Eagles will win this game. And I think they'll have their way. We'll see how Jay Ajayi looks. I loved how Peterson used more of him in the second half. I think we'll see more of Ajayi this week. But I do think Foles will have a good game, and the defense is going to feast, and that's all you really need. I don't think Tampa's going to put up 48 on this defense. I can tell you that. So, all right, and that's going to pretty much wrap us up for the Week 2 edition of the Mouthpiece Football Podcast. Keep checking back to MouthpieceSportsTalk.com. We have the locks coming tomorrow. We have Dunphy's starts and sits coming tomorrow. We'll have the game preview, the game recap. And then as soon as Carson Wentz comes back, we'll have the full-on Wentz report, all that and more. By the way, I was 3-0 on my locks last week, so make sure you check out the locks this week. And either later today or tomorrow, we will also have a Behind Enemy Lines article. We'll get the Tampa Bay perspective on Sunday's game. I love the Birds. I know I picked the Falcons last week, but I will get back to 1-1 this week. The Eagles beat the Bucs in Tampa. Foles has a big game. I will talk to you next week. Go Birds.